I'm back! Hi, my name is Matt Frank. I like to play drums. Hi. Hello there. As some of you may have seen if you follow me on Instagram and here on YouTube, recently I have been making some short covers. So the purpose of this video is because I have gotten, I'm sorry, behind my drum kit, I'm very easily distracted. If you watched my last video where we talked about that snare drum, which is currently on a shelf over there, insert a link. I'll put a link to that video here somewhere where we talk about this cool vintage snare drum that I found, tuning it up and getting an organic sound out of that with this SM57. So I've gotten questions, Matt, how do you get that sound? How are you tuning your drums? How are you mixing? How are you getting that sound when you make your drum covers? I'll put a few of them up here. You won't have sound. I'll send some links down below to my Instagram if you want to check those out. There's also some of them here on YouTube if you want to go check those out after this video. But today, I want to, of course, make another one of these videos, and I thought I would bring you along the journey with me. Alrighty, so we are I'm here in my little space where I mix stuff and do things. So we're here in Logic, and you can see everything going on. It's nothing too crazy, so just to recap, we're running two microphones, Beta 52 on the kick and this SM57 on the snare. So because of that, I do things a certain way that aren't necessarily the proper way to do things, but it works really well for what I'm doing. So obviously I have the track here. There's not really much to talk about with the track. We have the kick. So one, as mentioned before, I'm not a professional audio engineer or mixer or producer, whatever you want to call it. I understand how most things work to a basic extent, at least. So I'm able to manipulate certain things to sound how I want. For the purpose of these reels and recording at home and keeping it simple, I completely replace the kick drum with a sample. Makes it quick, makes it easy, and it sounds really good. So here, I'll show you what the kick drum sounds like on its own. This is just a Beta 52, no processing. All right, you get the gist of that. And then I will throw on the sample, which today is provided by Drum Sample Shop. To clarify, this is not sponsored whatsoever. I've used quite a few drum samples out there and experimented with different sounds, and I've found, at least for me right now, I really like the stuff from Drum Sample Shop, so shout out to them. They've been kind enough to repost these reels that I've made with their samples. Which means a lot to me. It's really cool to me. Go check them out. I think they're some of the best drum samples money can buy right now. So yeah, definitely go check them out. I'm using the 2270s kick, UK. I don't really know exactly what they're doing different or if they're different kick drums, but I find this one has a little less reverb than their US version if you buy the US UK pack. But that is what this is from. So this is the sample all on its own. All right, so you get the gist of that. That's the kick drum. Moving on, we have the snare. So you'll see I have two snare channels here. I am getting the hi-hat from the snare mic. Little tip, not the proper way to do things, but because I'm only using two mics, this works really well. I'm able to pick up the hi-hat from the snare mic, and because I'm sampling it anyway, I'm able to do a blend where the snare that I'm getting out of the raw snare mic, and I'm able to EQ and focus on getting the hi-hat. So I've actually got this EQ'd pretty high up here. A little boost around 1K, and then really starting to get up in 6, 8, 10K. I had a pretty high boost there. So I've mixed that more for getting the hi-hat. Again, I'm getting a lot of the snare sound out of the sample. So here is the snare mic all by itself. So as you can tell, you're getting a lot of hi-hat there. Snare doesn't sound bad. Of course, if I was just focusing on the snare, I'd be mixing purely for the snare. And really, if this was for something important, I wouldn't be mixing it. So that's that. Moving on to the sample. Because I have the real drum or the real snare here in this channel, this and this are the exact same file. I am just 100% replacing that with the sample. And I've put the detail down pretty low. Again, I'm just turning stuff to where I like it and where I think it sounds good. So if you're a pro and you're looking at this going, Matt, what are you doing? I think it sounds good. Whether I'm doing it the right way or how it's supposed to be, sorry. Anyway, so snare sample is pretty straightforward. I don't really have to explain anything else about that. I'm using the, for all of the replacement, I'm using the Trigger 2 from Slate. If you haven't heard of it, it's really great. If you don't know how it works, it's essentially, and I'm probably going to explain this the wrong way. It detects the audio file, each peak in the audio file. So, for example, the snare, because I'm picking up other items like the hi-hat and the toms and other cymbals and even the kick drum with the snare mic, it detects the highest or the loudest frequency in that file, and it's able to replace it with a snare. And you can adjust that with these, the sensitivity, retrigger, and the detail. I've got the detail pretty low for some of the little subtleties I was doing. But yeah, that's how that works. This is the snare sample all by itself. All right, so we've gone over kick, snares, well, same snare, but two different snare things. Now, this is where it gets really quick. So because I'm only using two mics, as I'm sure I guess I wasn't doing much tom stuff here. You'll see I do tom stuff here. But when I have done some other videos where I do some fills with the toms, this wouldn't be a good method if you're doing like a tom groove or a lot of tom work, but for simple fills here and there, you can hear what you play, and I just play a MIDI sample over the snare mic because the snare picks up a little bit of the toms, but I'm able to replace it with a sample via MIDI. So if I remembered what I play and can hear what I played via the snare mic, I'm able to just play it with MIDI. So I wasn't really doing much here. I think I just did a hit as far as a fill here, so you're just going to hear one floor tom hit. So that's that. And then actually, because I was just trying to do this quickly, there was the Slate trigger either I didn't hit the snare drum hard enough, or the Slate trigger didn't quite pick it up. So I added an extra snare hit here, same exact sample. None of this is quantized, just to be clear. Not that there's anything wrong with quantizing, especially a drum cover, you can get away with it. But none of this is quantized. I just played it on my MIDI controller, and so I don't need to play this because you know what the snare sample sounds like. But yeah, what I'll do is I will play some of this with the track without any processing. So I'll mute this, I'll mute this, I'll mute this, and I'll turn off the trigger here, and I'll turn off the trigger here. No, I don't need to turn off the trigger there. I just mute that, and I turn off that trigger. Okay, so this is going to be everything before processing, and I'll let some of it play out, and then I will play it after the processing. Hey, this is me editing the video. Really quick, I realized as I'm doing this, I forgot to turn off, I put on a compressor on the master bus. So yeah, when I say it's unprocessed, it just has a master bus compressor. Forgot to turn it off during the demo. So yeah.
Used to like the taste of sour candy, now it just makes me sick. Used to be obsessed with scary movies, now I think they're all shit. Used to love watching the sunset, now I pray for rain. All the things I used to love just leave a bitter taste. I even made my favorite band, all because of you. I can't stop, can't stand songs we listen to that make me think of us just lying naked in your room. I hate my favorite band, all because of you.
Alrighty, so there it was raw. Let me turn everything back on here. Get that on, that's on, that's on, that's all good. So everything should be up and running. So yeah, here is what it sounds like post-processing.
Used to like the taste of sour candy, now it just makes me sick. Used to be obsessed with scary movies, now I think they're all shit. sunset, now I pray for rain. All the things I used to love just leave a bitter taste. I even made my favorite band, all because of you. I can't stop, can't stand songs we listen to, make me think of us just like you're naked in your room. I ain't my favorite band, all because of you.
Alrighty, so that's it, guys. If you have any questions for me, or want to see how we could be anything from how do I make the video, what camera am I talking to right now, how I actually diving into how I tune my drums, what gear I use. If you have any questions about that, anything that has to pertain to drums, let me know. If you want to see something, if you've got a question, I'd love to hear it. Go check out these videos on my Instagram page. I will link that in the description, but it's Matt_Frank_drums. I'd love it if you went and checked that out. Follow me there. I post there a bit more often than I post here on YouTube. But until next time, guys, love y'all. Thanks for watching. Appreciate ya. Ka-chow.